I know that when you're going to watch this, it's probably way into January, maybe even February, but the day I'm recording it, maybe you can tell it is December 24th, Christmas time, yay! I hope you have had happy holidays. I got back from my family already, so far for today. And I already recorded one video earlier that will definitely be uploaded at the time you're watching this. It may be very interesting. It is going to be called something like Same, Opposing and Complementary Energy in Soulmates, Twin Flames and Divine Counterparts. It was not meant to be that long, but it did turn out to be almost 1 hour, so maybe that will be interesting for you. It already will be uploaded once you watch this. But today we're going to check Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez. Yeah, I probably titled this video something like Mirror Twins, so we're going to talk about that. And it's quite an interesting horoscope that they have, to be honest. I do sense divine counterpart energy here. However, any divine counterpart, you have to do work. They do have some difficulties as well. It's basically one that is coming up again and again and again and again. So there's one major thing that they will have to work through if they want to stay together. Maybe, I don't know if they're still out together by the time you're watching this, but yeah, we're going to watch this. There is a lot of, as I said, divine counterpart energy going on. However, I don't believe that they're twin flames, at least not monadic twin flames or split twin flames. If you want to know the difference, I do have a video called Divine Counterpart, different types of divine counterparts, or the video I did earlier today actually is something that will tell you something about that as well. But yeah, today we're going to do Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez. I am going to do Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner later on, not today, but in the future. And if you do have other ideas of divine celebrities that might be divine counterparts, best buddies, karmics, whatever it is, let me know. I have to admit I'm not very up to date when it comes to celebrities and their spouses and their private lives. So I don't know a lot about that. I think some people mentioned maybe Jay-Z and Beyonce. I don't know anything about them. It's not the kind of music I listen to, so I honestly have no idea. I may look at them at a later time as well. However, please post in the comments if you want me to do certain celebrities, and I will consider. And yeah, also please like, subscribe, share, hit the bell icon, help my channel to grow. Check out my other content. I am planning a lot of content when it comes to coaching and manifestation. Also, if you want to have your own video just like this, you can book one with me. Prices will go up at the end of January, so I don't know by the time you see this if I already have raised the prices. I don't know exactly, but check out my information in the about me section of YouTube or in the description box below. You will find my current pricing and my contact information, and you can book your own video like this. It doesn't have to be a divine counterpart. It can be a family member or your best friend that we're going to analyze, whatever you like. And it is best, of course, if I have all the data for both people. Like most celebrities, fortunately we do have both datas. If you only have the birth date of your specific person, and that we will need definitely, then you can check out the video by about Lisa Bonet and Jason Momoa, because they only have Lisa's birth date and time, exact time, and not Jason's. I have his birth date but not the time, and then you can see what you would get with that kind of information. It is of course a bit less specific. You don't have all of the information, but there is still enough to determine a lot of things though. I'm going to do with this video what we usually do when you've watched the other videos. First of all, we're going to analyze their own energies individually and compare them with one another, because the twin flames of course have energy that is complementary in some kind of way, and that is what we're going to do. First, see if they have similar energies, because again, twin flame, everybody knows that they come from one soul. Monadic twins are one soul in two bodies. Split twin flames have been one soul. They share one oversoul and they are incarnated. The soul split, however, they're not half souls, of course. There is no half souls. I will go more into detail in the mentioned videos. Again, this one I did earlier today, that is already uploaded, and the different kind of divine counterparts video. Then we will check out the synastry between them, and then we will go to the composite. And then the fourth step, we will take the composite and compare it. And you know, the composite is basically the birth chart of the relationship itself. It's two people coming together, forming a third energy. That would be the composite. And then we are going to apply this onto their individuality to see how did this relationship kind of like influence them individually. Yes, that's the word, individually. Sorry, English is not my native language. And unfortunately that we have to do manually. I don't have any program to do that, but we will do it later on. What do we have here? Wait, is it them? I don't know. Okay. So we are going to start with my little cheats that I already did. I prepared this, and you will see that they have a lot in common. They do have a lot in common, and basically doing this is what inspired me doing this video here, to explain more about split twin flames and monadic twin flames. And I can't cover all of that now because again, it's a separate video. You can check that out, but you will see that they have a lot in common. First of all, they both have the sun in Leo, so the sun is in the same sign. There's sameness already. They both have the moon in Scorpio, same sign, and they both have it in the 5th house. So they also have it in the same sign and the 5th house, meaning their moon is loaded with Scorpio and Leo energy, both of them. And then they do have the rising sign. Ben's got his rising sign in Cancer, and Jennifer has her rising sign in Leo. And that is, it's very important is that Jennifer, she's got her rising sign in Leo at 1% Leo. Let's check this out. See, it's right here at down here 1%. And it's very important that the rising sign, the energies, they do merge for a while. It's not Cancer, 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 and then boom, all of a sudden it's Leo. There is a merging phase. So having your rising sign at 1 degree basically means you still have Cancer energy attached to it. It's not pure Leo energy yet. There is some Cancer going on. And we do have that with her sun, of course, as well. And I kind of missed that. How could I miss that? That's very interesting. We need to add that in our sheet. Nope. What did I do here? Sorry. Which means it's almost yin yang. It's she's Leo, but she is almost Cancer. And Leo and Cancer are kind of like yin yang energy, because why? They belong together. It's Leo is the sun and Cancer is the moon, and they would go together. So that actually could almost be a sign of monadic twin flames. However, there's not enough other stuff to support that, but it supports even more that it is divine counterpart energy, no matter the label, but it is there's different kind of divine counterparts. Why is it important? But because again, sun and moon, they are divine counterparts. Another example would be Taurus and Libra, because having one person having the sun in Taurus, the other in Libra, would be both having Venus signs, and one has the masculine and one has the feminine Venus signs, but they're both Venus signs and just having the other aspect of that sign. So that is basically a bit excited. However, they do have it in the same sign, and when it's with 1 degree, again, she must have some Cancer energy when it comes to her Leo. And here she does also have some kind of Cancer. Here he's got Cancer, she's got Leo, so they do have yin yang energy here. However, since it's 1 degree Leo, she also has Cancer energy attached to it. And here they do have the same sign, but she must have Cancer energy attached to it. So they were almost yin yang when it comes to that. And it's so interesting, we were born like 10 minutes earlier. She would not have been a Leo rising, she would have been a Cancer rising as well, meaning then they would have had the rising sign the same as well. So you see there's a lot of sameness going on here. I mean, the moon even in the same house, in the same sign, the sun in the same sign, but almost being yin yang energy. The rising sign being yin yang energy, but almost the same sign. And then we got it going on with Mercury as well. Both have it in Leo. It's not a surprise because Mercury and Venus can never stay far from the sun. So if you are a Leo sun, then chances are that you either are a Leo Mercury as well, or a Cancer, which is before Leo, or Virgo. You can't have anything that is further away from your sign, you know. So if you would be a Pisces sun, then you Mercury and most likely your Venus would also be in Pisces or Aries or Aquarius. Venus in rare cases, especially if there had been a retrograde, can be 2 signs apart. Doesn't happen often though. Usually Venus and Mercury are within that range. Venus can be a bit further. So since they're both Venus suns, it is not surprising that they have Mercury in the same sign as well. That's very likely. It can only be 1 out of 3 signs basically. The 4th sign for Mercury would not be typical. For Venus, it could be, for example, if you're born on a cusp, or let's say like right over here, then it could be 2 signs apart. But for Mercury, that is not possible. I don't know the exact number, but I think Mercury can be about 23 degrees away from the sun, but not further. And Venus is a bit broader. I think Venus maybe like 40 degrees, something like that. Again, I don't remember the exact numbers. It's been a while since I read them. So again, they have same energy here again when it comes to Mercury. They do have different energy when it comes to Venus. However, when we talk about Synastry, we still see that they have similar energy in Synastry, even though it's not when we look at them individually. The Mars. He's a Virgo Mars, but it's in the house of Gemini. And the opposite of Gemini would be the 9th house, and she's got it in Sagittarius. So meaning her opposite sign of Mars would be Gemini. And there's this connection here with opposite sign, opposite houses. And we do have that here again with Jupiter. However, when you have monadic twin flames, everything will be somewhat connected. Everything, okay? Because monadic twin flames are one soul. So of course that must show in astrology, also numerology and Chinese astrology, that they're a perfect match and all of that stuff. You know, it must show. In other divine counterpart connections, it doesn't have to be like that much, because they're still very strong soul bonds, but not as strong, so it's not as evident. But most important, of course, the first couple, and then those are not as important, but still we do have it going on here, because he's got Jupiter in Sagittarius. The opposite of Sagittarius would be Gemini, and she's got it in the 3rd house. So again, we do have opposing signs, opposing houses going on. We don't have any Saturn connection here, but again, those are not as important when you're not dealing with a monadic twin flame. Uranus, we do have in Libra both. That is not surprising. It's a very slow planet, and if you're not like 10-15 years apart, then you know, if you're only a couple years apart, then you would most likely have that in the same sign. It's not too surprising. I don't know how many years are they apart. I forgot. Let's check that out. I think they're like 3 years apart or something like that. We got yeah, he was born 72, she was born in 69, so they are 3 years apart. Let's go back. Neptune, they do have it in the same house, and that is here wrote not important, here wrote not too important, because those what is the word, generational planets, it's more important what house they are than in what sign, because they stay in one sign, some of them for many years. So it's more important to see what house, and they do have the same house. But again, it's not as important as the personal planets. And then we got that Juno is of course very important when we talk about high level soulmates, because Juno shows you who your soulmate is, or your soul connection. He's got Juno in Libra in the house of Cancer, and she's got it in Capricorn, which is the opposite. So again, there's this connection going on. Here, again, that would be something that would be relevant for monadic twin flames. However, let's see what we got down here. Here I was looking for match, meaning are they a match when it comes to the elements? You see, we got Leo and Leo, both of course are fire, and fire would be a match, but here I was more looking like, could it form like a trine? You know, it's like somewhat complementary, because having everything the same can cause some kind of difficulty when there's too much sameness. It's the positive side is you share many of the same positive attributes, but you also share the same negative attributes when you have too much in common, and that can be a bit challenging. So here I wrote okay because it's both fire, but it would have been better for this section if we would have one, for example, Leo, and the other person would be Aries or Sagittarius, so the other fire signs. We don't have anything of that going on. It's since they have always the same. It's okay, right? It's okay. It's just not when it comes to forming trines. You know, the most flowing essence, something that you have a lot in common in. That's why I wrote this one to check for soul twin energy. You know, we already defined they're not soul twins because they have so much in common, so much the same energy that I would, if I had to label it, would label it soul twins. No, sorry, mirror twins, mirror twins, because they mirror a lot of the same energy. And that's going even more when we are going to watch it, the Synastry. Here I would watch for more like the soul twin part, and we don't have a lot going on here. Aries and Libra, you see the opposing house basically. You know, something that is the polar opposite. They don't have anything of that going on, which means doesn't look like split twins. Split twins would have a lot of opposite and same energy. That's very important. The opposition and the sameness. If you want to know why it is that important, this is what I was talking about in detail in this video, and again you will find it in my list. It will be named something like that, okay? And yin yang, yes, that is the monadic twin flame category. They do have it here with Cancer, water, fire. I mean with Cancer and Leo. I explained that above. Cancer and Leo are counterparts. Generally, when oppositions would be fire and air, the two male signs, masculine signs, and water and earth would also be opposites. And yin yang would be fire and water and earth. However, not any fire and water sign here wrote down okay, because we have Gemini, which is air, and Taurus, which is earth. So it's okay. However, true yin yang energy would be Gemini and Virgo, because both of them are ruled by Mercury. We have the two Mercury signs. And for Taurus, it would be Libra, because they are both Venus signs. And what do we have here? We have Capricorn and Libra. For Libra, again, it would be Taurus, the other Venus sign. For Capricorn, it would be Aquarius, which is the other Saturn sign. So they only got this going on here with the moon and sun signs, moon and sun. And here we do have the elements, yin yang energy, but it's not the perfect match. So I don't think that they are monadic twin flames, because they don't have a lot of that going on. With her Leo at 1 degree only, so it would be like an almost. She must have some Cancer energy attached to her sun, but it's not quite. So yeah, it's an almost, which is quite interesting as well, don't you think? Let me have a sip of my tea, I'm sorry. Okay, so we already determined, doesn't look like split twin energy, doesn't look like soul twin energy, doesn't look like monadic twin flame energy, because they don't have that energy. They have, however, a lot sameness. You see, there's a lot of sameness. They do have some opposite energy going on here with signs and houses, however, not with signs directly. So that is something that is just showing, yeah, they can balance each other here if they try. However, this wouldn't exactly show, yeah, the twin flames, because then would be more likely complementary houses. I go more in detail with that in that video again. Sorry for bringing it up again and again, but I just can't say everything all the time again and again. So due to that sameness, I do expect that there might be something like that. It's called mirror twins, because a mirror twin would be a high-level soulmate that has a lot of the same element that is mirroring you, basically, you know. And again, their sun sign are the same, rising sign are complementary, almost the same, moon signs are the same, even in the same houses. So there's a lot of mirroring going on. Also their Mercury. But again, it's the labels make it easier to understand concepts. Okay, it's very important to me to understand that one soul connection is not above another. It is more like what kind of a blueprint that your soul chose to experience when you came here, and what kind of energy is going on between you and this person. You can make any relationship work if you do the work. If there's mirroring or shadow aspects going on, just clear those. It's possible. We see that they're soulmates as well, because you see that they have a lot of contact between their personal planets. So that is very obvious that there is some soul connection going on here. Let's go through my notes, because I did prepare that. We do have, yeah, and that is quite interesting. When we go to other planet positions, we do the sun is in each other's partner's second house. We do see Venus in each other's 12th house, and that's what I was implying to earlier, that when I was saying earlier here that they do have different Venus signs. However, both Venuses are in each other's 12th house, so there is mirroring going on, more mirroring. They do have Saturn both in the 11th and Neptune in the 5th. However, Chiron in the 10th, point of fortune in the 10th. So you see there is a lot of mirroring going on. Most important, of course, would be Venus and the Sun when we're talking about love connections. You heard me say before, I like it when the Sun is in the other person's second house. We do see here as well, this is her Sun in his second house, and this is his Sun in her second house. The second house is one of the Venus houses, so it is one of the love houses, even though this would be more the feminine aspect of Venus, and the 7th house would be more the relationship aspect. The Venus is also ruling money. Many people don't know that. Venus is the ruler of love, beauty, and money. However, the second house is the house of birth. It is the house of sensuality. It's a Taurus house, and Taurus is a very sensual, not sexual so much, sensual sign, exploring each other, having a nice time with each other. Also, it is the house of self-worth, and that is something that can be very important. You can, with your sun and the other person's second house, you can destroy that person's self-worth, or you can build them up. If it would destroy the other person, that would be karmic, obviously, and otherwise it can be very helpful. So we need to see what connections do they have, but we're going to talk about that later. I kind of like got off my notes, for example, for a moment. However, the Venus in the second house I like, especially in artists, because the Venus house, the second house, is also about arts, about creating beautiful things. And yeah, when two artists come together and their Venus is in each other's second house, they could be like a muse to one another. My twin flame and I have that connection as well. It's my sun in his second house, giving him a sense of worth, building him up, being his kind of like muse, being his cheerleader, you could say. And also it could be, if it's a karmic connection, somebody's sun in the other person's second house could be a gold digging aspect, could be. So it's very important to look at that sun to see if it is positive. For example, if there's a trines going on here, we do have an square going on, so that could be a bit of trouble. But here we do have the sextile with his her Venus and his sun, so that is a very loving aspect. For example, my twin flame and I, my sun is in his second house, but it's also trining his moon, and that is just a very, very, very digging connection, because it's a very harmonious flow going on there. However, sun in somebody's second house, be careful, especially if you're the house person and you have money. Check out the rest, okay? But this is very lovely when it comes to artists as well, because again, it's giving the other person inspiration. But also in any other kind of relationship, the sun person would inspire the house person to get more money. So usually it's the house person that has the money, but the sun is bringing more money to the house person, not by handing it to them, but by maybe inspiring them to get that promotion, to get that job that they want, to create something that will sell very well, or they go to business together. Any business, maybe it's the couple that has a restaurant together that's going well, or any other kind of company that they work together. And so the sun person is the inspiration for the house person, and I really like this aspect in relationships. Again, if it's not like an inflicted sun, one that is damaging the other person, but that could be damaging in any house. And the second house, it will be damaging when it comes to money and worth and self-worth. However, we do see mirroring going on, just by that each sun is going into the other person's second house. Venus is always going into the other person's 12th house. Here we have her Venus going into his 12th. His Venus is right on his rising sign going into her 12th, which is something that I don't think is very uncommon when it comes to celebrity connections. I remember Jason Momoa and Lisa Bonet, at least I remember they had the Composite Venus in the 12th house. And I think with some of the Brad Pitt videos, they have in Synastry like Venus 12th house connections as well. Why is it important for celebrities? Not important, but common maybe, because celebrities often kind of like have to keep it a bit secret. And the 12th house is the house of secrets. So it would be kind of like a secret love, even if it's public somehow, but they probably will have to make sure to keep some things secret and not tell everything to the world. Also, of course, it could be the house of secret affairs. So if it's an affair going on, that would show about the 12th house as well, but also, and that is very important, and that is why Saturn is that important, especially when we're talking about 12th house stuff. It's also the house of illusions. So what could happen is with Venus 12th house connections, that it's not real love, it's an illusion, it's putting someone on a pedestal, it is the secret love, it is the other person not knowing, it's the unrequited love even. So it's very important to see if you have Venus-Saturn connection when you have 12th house stuff going on. Why? Because Saturn is grounding this connection. Saturn is serious. So having your Venus in the other person's 12th house, and that is connected to the other person's Saturn, means that person is serious about you as well. So it's not the necessarily unrequited love. Unless it's like a square, then it could definitely be unrequited love, or you just stay, I don't know, the mistress, for example. It's the affair, and it's not getting grounded. That could be something to look out for when you have Venus in the other person's 12th house, or their Venus in your 12th house. Because again, the 12th house is the house of illusion, so it could be a love that is not real, it's not grounded. It could be the fan admiring their celebrity, but it doesn't go anywhere. But they do have the Saturn Venus contact here, and I think it's her Venus is at 18 degree Gemini, and his Saturn is at 18 degrees, so that's full on. And then we do have it the same with his Venus and her Saturn, so both of them are serious about this connection. And again, when you have 12th house stuff, that is something that's very important. Also, please watch out for Venus-Neptune connections, because that again can indicate either it's a transcendental love. You know, the 12th house is also spirituality. It is the soulmate. Venus in the 12th house can indicate soul connections. Twin flames doesn't have to. It can. But again, you know how many twin flames, false twin flames, put somebody on, label someone twin flame and they're not. And that could be because of like 12th house connection, of the illusion going on. So be aware of Neptune Venus or Neptune 12th house stuff. You need to have Saturn, for example, to actually ground that connection. That's what Saturn is for. Okay, but you don't want the square, because Saturn can be a planet of karma with the square, yes, but it can also be a planet of being serious, giving you that kind of responsible relationship, long-lasting relationship. And they do have the conjunction, and they do have the sextile. So that is something that is very, very good when you have like Venus, Neptune, Venus 12th house stuff. That shows it's not an illusion, it is a real connection, it's a tangible connection, even if it is a spiritual connection. It is one that is not just in the head, and also it's not one that is just only 5D, it is one that can get grounded, and that can make, that can be long lasting. So that is something really to be careful with when it comes to Venus, Neptune, Venus 12th house. So in the same house, Synastry, I'll write that down. Second house, Sun, good for artists, inspiring to make money. Venus house, yes, self-worth, I covered that. Venus in the 12th house, they do have both different Venus energy, I was talking about that, but it's the same since it's falling into the 12th house. So we do have that Venus connection. I was talking about illusions, I was talking about Saturn, and that is positive there. Okay, good. I covered all of my notes when it comes to that. And then I wrote down Jennifer's Sun square his moon, and vice versa. Oh, yeah. And as said earlier, they do have some stuff that they need to figure out. Some karmic stuff. Again, karma is nothing like really bad. It's just something that is unhealed. It is some kind of difficulty in this connection that you can overcome, but you have to work on it. And having two Sun square moons, we got one here, it's his Sun, her moon, and here would be her Sun versus his moon over there. That's a tough one, to be honest. That is a tough one. What I like in soul connections is sun and moon conjunctions, trines, even sextiles. Most positive are, of course, sun moon trines, because trine is the most positive connection. Conjunctions can cause difficulties, don't have to, they're easier than oppositions, but trines are really flowing and the most harmonious connections. So sun moon squares, you need to have good stuff like that Venus stuff going on to make that work. You need to work on that, because that is just, yeah, the moon is our emotional needs, and like a sun moon trine would be something very, very positive when it comes to supporting the other person, being there for them. And with a square, that is exactly that can be hard to learn, to be emotionally there for the other person, to give them what they emotionally need, to fulfill their emotional needs, to understand them. And thankfully they have a lot of the same energy. You were talking about that, same sun, moon, almost rising sign. That means that they can get each other, because both have the moon in Scorpio, so they do get that energy intuitively. Both have the sun in Leo, so they do get that energy intuitively. However, since it's squaring here, it is something that where they might be too much the same, and that might cause friction. Because again, being the same is good when it comes to the positive aspect, but being the same, for example, when you have two extremely stubborn people and nobody ever wants to be the first one to say sorry, that can be harsh, for example. And sun moon squares is something that's going to that direction. You need to learn, and squares are something that can be learned, but you have to do it. You have to learn to value the other person's needs. And here it could be like an egoistic thing, especially since both have the sun in Leo. And Leo is a very proud sign. Leo usually is very generous, but Leo can be a bit egoistic. It's connected to the solar plexus chakra, and it's good for self-esteem, but if it's too much, then it's egoism. So you have to find the balance. And here I see that egos can be clashing with that connection. That is something they need to learn. Unfortunately, that is something that is transpiring. Was it also the composites? Let's check. Yes, we have it here as well about the connection. And then later on, I did take this and applied it to their birth charts, and there we have it the same. So we have sun moon trines everywhere with them, unfortunately. So that's a bit of a tough one, but again, it can be overcome. But they need to learn to put back their own ego and to really take the other person's emotions accountable, and it's just a guess. I mean, they're both like big celebrities. Maybe they're used to getting all of the attention, to being the star, to being the one who is admired. And when one of those celebrities who wants to be in the center of attention, and that is Leo energy, always to share that spotlight, that can be where they clash if they don't learn that. And again, I don't know anything about celebrity gossip. I don't know how well they do it. I just read the astrology and I see that could be a problem. That is basically this is their biggest problem to overcome. That is their number one thing to overcome. They need to work on supporting each other, and sometimes putting themselves second, or to find compromise. That could be tough. And maybe I wrote down, maybe they're in competition for fame or public appraisal. That could be a thing as well. Wanting that recognition and being the one who's getting more recognized. They need to overcome this to make this relationship last. And they need to learn to support each other emotionally and take each other's needs serious. That's what I wrote down. Then I wrote down that they both have no positive connections to the sun and the moon. Oh, that's not true. Her sun has positive connections. His sun, yeah, we do have the one to her Venus, but here we got the squares. That's a bit tough. And here her moon, this blue is his moon. There's no positive connections. And here, yeah, okay, it's the moons. The moons don't have any positive connections. Yeah, again, that can be a bit harsh to take each other's emotional needs serious. Or maybe it could be hard to learn to express your needs to the other person. That is what they need to overcome. It can be overcome, it's just not that easy. And again, their similarity might be a problem or become a problem because they're just too similar. And that is why twin flames are not exactly the same. They're not exactly the same. They need to be complementary. They need to have yin-yang energy. And again, that is they're basically their charts kind of like very spontaneously today inspired me to do this video. It was like it went in my head, it popped in my head, and I sat down, recorded it right on the spot basically. And yeah, they inspired me to do that, to explain that even more, to go more into detail. What did I write down? I wrote down due to Venus and Saturn context, they do have a chance for a long-lasting relationship, but that does not mean that they're happy. This here can indicate sometimes feeling stuck in a relationship that can be a burden. And so it's up to them to, communicate so it won't be a burden. Because again, Venus and Saturn contacts or Saturn moon contacts, they don't have these. No, they do have this. This is another thing that is talking about long-lasting relationship actually, even though it's not opposition. Because that just means those energies, they always need to balance themselves, but they are always connected. A square can be overcome. An opposition will be there forever, the energy. You just need to learn to balance it. It's possible. So you often see, this is actually something you see quite often in long-lasting relationships, these Saturn moon connections. It could be oppositions, trines, and conjunctions. Difficult as squares, of course. I don't like to see Saturn moon squares or Saturn Venus squares in love relationships, to be honest. They need to balance their own. Bench Mercury is squaring Jennifer Saturn. So stubbornness could be a problem going on here. It's here. This is this Mercury squaring her Saturn. Saturn is restrictions, it's rules, it's limitations. So that could be a problem, that they don't always communicate everything, and that is what they need to learn. But they do have Mercury in the same sign, so again, they do think somewhat similar, and they can use that for their advantage. They can use that. They can use the similarities to understand one another. They can use that for their advantage. So it could be like an advantage and disadvantage at the same time. Otherwise, they can actually destroy each other's self-esteem. Because why am I talking about self-esteem? We do have second house stuff going on. Well, second and first house. The first house is also connected to our self-esteem. A bit different than the second house. The first house would be more like our looks. How comfortable do we feel in our body? And the second house is more like self-worth, not as much connected to our physical body. But that could be an issue if that they talk bad to one another and tear each other down. Then I wrote down Mercury in the same sign. Yes, exactly, Mercury in the first and second house. Then node spans, south node is over here, connecting to her sun and her AC and Mercury. They don't have any north node connections. North node, of course, there would be oppositions. That just indicates, yes, we do know each other from a past life. Some readers or some tarot astrologists say, that is holding the other person back. I don't necessarily agree. to me this indicates, yeah, we do know each other from a past life. A square would be more like holding the other person back, but in a conjunction, I always see like you meet an old friend and you can go to the future together if you make it work. So that to me is not a bad thing at all. It just indicates, yes, soul connection. We do have that here. And her south node would be over here. Is connecting to his IC and his Pluto. That again is telling you more past life stuff. Maybe she's triggering some of his childhood stuff with the IC. It is in opposition to his MC now, so that could yeah, her north node is connected to his MC, which is a good thing. That can indicate that it was meant to live this public relationship. I mean, somewhat public. Remember, we do have Venus in the 12th houses, so they are not trying to show everything publicly, but that can be something like, yeah, we're going to do this publicly, and I'm going to be good for your image. But here we got the, yeah, those are not personal planets, so I wouldn't go read too much into it. It's more important when they're personal planets, to be honest, or the MC would be important too. We don't have any Chiron connections. Again, I don't think we had any Chiron connections so far in any of the readings, because twin flames also meet to heal each other due to this transformation by triggering a transformation process. And so Chiron would be something that is important in monadic and maybe in split twin connections. The vertex, again, very important when it comes to fated connections. Vertex is your point of fate. Her vertex is not expected, but that's okay because we have his, one is enough. And what we see here is his vertex is at 25 degrees Scorpio over here, and her moon is at 25 degrees Scorpio, so that is spot on. This means definitely a fated connection. Then we got her Neptune as well, 25 degree. Again, Neptune can talk about spirituality, so it was fated that they met. That was absolutely fated. Doesn't have to be fated to stay forever together. They can make it work, you know. They do have, in my opinion, divine counterpart energy, but however, if they don't figure out that square stuff here, they might not make it, or they stay in this connection, they stay unhappy. I don't wish it for them. I don't know them personally, but I want everybody to be happy. But definitely here you see soulmates. That is absolutely clear. You see it here with the south node, and vertex is fate, and definitely a fated connection. Do we have anything else? Nope. That is here. That is. This blue line doesn't form any other connections, but again, this is obvious, very obvious. But again, just by that, you cannot say that they're meant to be together for forever. You just can't. But they were meant to meet. It could be a lesson, could be for a lesson. It's what they make of it. They can choose to make it work if they do the work. But again, it's a very close it's a 25 degree, it's spot on. The closer this is, and the moon is the most important. For me, the moon is the most important planet of them all. So definitely fated, and both at 25 degree, very strong connection. That is one of the obvious signs, very obvious sign. Then Pluto is very important as well, in my opinion, when it comes to divine counterpart, because we were just talking about transformation. We do have Chiron, the wounded healer, and then Pluto is transformation, and Pluto energy is black and white. It's the make it or break it, and Pluto can very much determine whether or not do they make it or not. That would be more Saturn, like their chances to do that. But Pluto, Scorpio, yeah, it's connected to healing. We want to have in divine counterpart, you want to have deep Pluto connections. Why? First of all, Pluto connections can indicate a love at first sight. That is typical for high soulmates. But it doesn't have to be Pluto. It could also be like the moon in the other person's 8th house, for example, because that's the Pluto house. That could be like a strong 8th house, especially when it comes to the moon. And of course, having Pluto contact. But not like here, this is not as important when it's the personal planets. The not personal, the generational planets. We do want it with personal planets. That is the key here. Because again, Pluto is transformation, it is healing, it is doing shadow work, but also it can be karma. So Pluto energy is the deepest emotions, which could be love of your life or enemy of your life. There's basically no in between. Pluto connections, I always say, make it or break it. Either it goes very, very deep emotionally. It does go very deep emotionally when you have, for example, the moon in the other person's 8th house, but emotion can be positive or negative. It's extreme. Pluto is the planet of extreme. So it's not like you meet someone, you're like, let's see if it goes anywhere. It's you instantly like or dislike this person, and in divine counterpart, it would be a love at first sight factor if you have Pluto to connected to the other person's, especially moon or Venus. Sun would be important too, but Sun or Mars connection would be more that sexual drive, not so much the love drive, but again, that would be like the spark at first sight. You see them and you just want them. So yeah, Sun and Pluto can be love at first sight, but it's more the attraction. But also you love the essence of the other person. So check out Pluto connections with Sun, Moon, Venus, Mars. But again, Mars could go either way. That could be extremely toxic or extremely transformative and sexual. It depends what kind of, especially with Pluto. With Pluto, it's very important to see what kind of a contact. And most positive would be trines and sextiles, conjunctions, double-edged swords, to be honest, and oppositions also double-edged swords. It can go either way. You need to see what else is there, and we do not want squares when it comes to Pluto and the other person's personal planets. That would be like double karma that can be overcome, but it's a bit harsh. So anyway, we do have her Pluto, where is it? Down here, squaring. That means that he may be a bit too stubborn when it comes to transformation, or it could be a rough transformation. And again, they have been together and then broke up. Maybe that was it, that maybe they were too young, they were not ready yet, and they had to overcome this in order to ground it, because that would be a karmic thing, because Saturn can be a planet of karma, Pluto can be a planet of karma, and squares are karma as well. So it's karma plus karma plus karma. It can be overcome, but you need to do the work, and then you can ground this as well. It is also squaring his Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of luck, of growth and abundance. So this transformation could have been hard when it comes to really expanding it or feeling happy or joyful. So there may have been some dark energy going on. However, Jupiter is usually a very friendly planet, so even with squares, Jupiter doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It's just not as good as it could be. So there is chance for this transformation, definitely. But it could be at maybe like a slower pace, or it could be a bit harder. I don't think it really stops growth, because both are kind of planets of growth. But they need to balance that. They need to overcome something here. Then we've got his Pluto, which is here trining her Sun. Oh, no, sextiling. It's a sextile, which is pretty good, because again we have Pluto Sun connections, very sexual connection, being sexual, attracted to one another. This is not very volatile, so this doesn't say fighting, for example. You know, that this is like a friendly connection. Pluto is transforming. Pluto can be black or white, but this means they're kind of like on the same page. So they do have conflicting Pluto energy, but they also have positive Pluto energy, and that is pretty good because that gives them a bigger chance to grow, to use that Plutonic energy. Also, it's his Pluto is also connected to her ascendant and her Mercury, so she can develop. She can really develop through this connection, and also again it's a sexual bond. What we see here is I want to talk about the asteroids. We don't really see a Juno connection. Juno is here, that's not doing anything for him. Hers is in Aquarius, no in Capricorn, sorry. Not really doing anything, so they don't have a Juno connection, but that's still okay. Juno basically shows you that her divine counterpart needs to have like some strong Capricorn energy, or have that seriousness, you know, that Saturn energy. She kind of needs that, whereas he needs somebody who's balanced, somebody who has kind of like this Libra energy, somebody who is harmonious. That's what he needs. That's what his divine counterpart is. We don't have any Eros and Psyche connections. I checked that earlier, except maybe his Psyche. Where's his Psyche? Is in Virgo. Yeah, here. It's that blue line. No, it's that one. You see here, it's not connected, but it's connected to her south node. So again, like past life indication we do have here. Yeah, I think that's at least all of the notes I took for the Synastry. Again, this is what I'm doing is I'm not analyzing everything about the relationship. I'm more checking, deliberately checking. That's why I don't talk, for example, too much about Mercury. I'm deliberately checking for soulmates indicators, or high divine counterparts indicators. You know, that's what I focus on. So let's go to the composites. They are a Cancer rising, and here we do have another indication for soulmates. So high soul connections often have, not always, but they often have like Cancer stuff going on, either rising, sun, moon in Cancer. Why? You see the sign kind of like it's a bit of representative of the yin yang sign. Also, it is connected to the moon, which is our emotions, talking about deep emotions as well. So that is an indicator for a strong connection. Then we do have the sun in the second house. Again, we did have that in Synastry, each other sun in the other person's second house. I said earlier, I do like that when it comes to art, but also when it comes to building up each other's self-esteem, which is especially important for Leo. You know, even though Leos sometimes already have a lot of that, and then it's about balancing it to have a healthy self-esteem. Also, Leo energy, of course, is craving that attention, and this means that the relationship is getting a lot of attention, because the sun, the light is in the Leo house, lighting it up, and also this would mean that they can give each other a lot of attention. Also, of course, again, the second house is good for artists, is one of the creative houses, and Leo is a creative sign, and the sun is, of course, also talking about creation, so that is a good placement for artists. Then they have the moon here with conjuncting with Jupiter, which means that they can be emotional fulfilled once they get over this trine. You see the square. The square that we had earlier, it translates here as well. So the relationship itself, the third energy, the third entity, has the same problem as Sun, Moon square. Learning to not overpower the other person's emotion. That can be a problem. However, we do have Jupiter here, which can talk about a very growing, expanding relationship, a very lucky relationship. Can be very lucky. Also, what I wrote down is, it is a square between the Sun and the Moon. The Sun in Leo and the Moon is in the 5th house, which is the Leo house. So the Sun and the Moon both are kind of like loaded with Leo energy. That can make it a bit more easy because they can intuitively at least understand each other a bit, sharing that Leo component. That can make it a bit easier for them to get over that square. Also, the Moon in Scorpio can be a sign for deep emotions. I was talking earlier about the Moon in the 8th house. Here we do have the Moon, the composite Moon in the 5th house, which would be similar to having it in the it's in Scorpio, which would be similar to having it in the 8th house, also in Synastry. So that can also talk about a very deep relationship, because again, Scorpio is the deepest of the water signs. It's the deepest emotional sign. Pisces is the more broad, connected with everything. Cancer is more, I have my circle for my family, and I have my inner circle. That is where my emotion goes. And Scorpio is the individual, like own deep emotions. So this is a factor, an indicator for deep emotions and a close connection. And it also gives them a lot of chance to transform, because Scorpio and Taurus is connected to death, the death card, and that is dying and being reborn, that constant evolution, that constant growth and finding yourself and growing again. So this can indicate that they can grow a lot. Then they do have North Node in Aquarius in the 8th house. 8th house again is a very spiritual house. It is the house of light and dark. I have the theory that many twin flames have strong Aquarius energy, especially, and the other person then has strong Capricorn, because that is yin yang energy. Why? Because monadic twin flames, not so much split twin flames, that is more about healing family karma, and monadic twin flames is more about doing a greater good, you could say. And Aquarius is the humanitarian sign. So when they have this moon nodes, the Sun is connected to the solar plexus chakra, which is connected to the ego. This means going away from the ego more to helping others. And since they're celebrity, they can, for example, do a lot of charity work or help others, using their power, using their Leo energy, their public image, to do humanitarian work, for example. So the North Node in Aquarius is not surprising for a high soul connection, in my opinion. It's my personal opinion. My personal, something I channeled. Also, this is showing a destiny to transform, because Aquarius is also connected to Uranus energy, and Uranus is also transforming energy, breaking old patterns and replacing them with new. Again, they do have the Sun Moon square. I just mentioned it earlier. They need to watch their emotional needs, especially since it's a public relationship. We have the public a bit with Leo going on. It's not the public house which would be the 10th house, but since they are a public couple, they need to watch that. They have to protect their own emotions, and they have to keep things private, because Scorpio is also the energy of privates, of secrets, privacy, secrets. And they need, we have it again with the the Venus and the 12th house again is about secrets as well, keeping things a secret, private affairs. So that is something that they will need to be happy. Again, the square is not too bad since it does have the shared Leo energy, and they both feel that need to shine. I mean, they are celebrities. Both are Leo suns. Leo energy would be a typical celebrity energy, to be honest, because Leo draws that attention to them, and they like to be admired. Leo energy likes to be admired. They can gain more publicity with this connection. And what did I write down? And fortune as well, of course, with the second house is the fortune house. We do have the Saturn opposite Neptune. Sorry, I'm having a hard time concentrating right now, which means that you do have to find a balance between the real world and a fantasy world. What's real, rationality and emotions. We do have a trine here. Didn't we have earlier something here going on between Saturn and Pluto that was not too nice? Yeah, here that square. Here they can overcome it because here we do have this beautiful connection. A trine is a flow, which means Pluto wants to transform and Saturn is making it possible, like in a slow, stable way. Means that they can change old belief systems and they can overcome that karma again if they do work on it. They do have Pluto sextile Neptune, and that's again a chance to change this into a deep emotional relationship and to have some spiritual developments. But unfortunately this is squaring, what is squaring Venus? Something is squaring Venus. Yeah, Pluto is squaring Venus. So the transformation, the healing, they can have some problems going on. They may have some old karma when it comes to relationship, some old patterns that they need to overcome. That is something that may be a bit of an issue, but again, it can be overcome if they do the work. What else did I write down? It's not easy, but it's done. The 12th house stuff I said earlier is something that would be probably not too uncommon for celebrities. Jason Momoa and Lisa Bonet had the same placements, the Venus and the 12th house. And again, we don't have any Charon connection, is what I wrote down. So now let's apply this to their personal charts. So let's start with the notes. I always was talking about the notes about the charity work. We do have the Sun here in Leo 11th house. Please remember that. We go to Ben Affleck. So the Sun would be around here. That would be 11 degree. And so it is forming a conjunction with his Mercury, meaning that in this connection he will feel safe to talk. He will like talking to her. This connection will make him maybe think different. And also it is shining into his second house again, so this connection can enhance his self-worth. Maybe because it is that public, maybe because she is beautiful, or maybe whatever. However, it is squaring his moon, so again they do have the Sun-Moon square going on because his moon is at 4 degrees and again the Sun was at 11 degrees, so we do have the square going on. And I already said that would make it hard to balance the emotional needs. That is a challenge that is coming up here as well. Then let's check Jennifer. Again, the moon would be at 11 degrees, so somewhere over here. And it is forming a weak conjunction to her Sun, Ascending, and Mercury. It's already talked about it. It's very similar here. It's making her shine even more, so she's getting public recognition as well. And again, it's not the public house, it's the ascending sign is still getting some kind of recognition. It is making herself feel good. that is what she gets out of that as well. She's feeling good. Then the Sun is forming a trine to her Mars. We do have that sexual connection. She is feeling sexy in this connection. She feels like doing activities with him, and also, yeah, it's again doing things that can raise their popularity, because again it's going to Leo. However, it is squaring to Saturn. That tells us that she may feel some limitations in this connection, especially when it comes to her own expression, because the Sun is how do we express herself. Maybe she cannot, or maybe she is trying to limit, put some limitations on this connection in some kind of way. Whatever that may be for them. Let's check out the Moon. I need to drink something. I'm sorry, I was talking for so long. I got a dry mouth now. This is the Moon here. The Moon is at 50 degrees Scorpio. So it would be basically right there. Yeah, his Moon, sorry. It would be right here. It's not forming any close conjunctions. It's not really a conjunction to this. His Moon, that would be 11 degrees away. We don't really have the opposite here. It is forming a trine to his MC, which again is helping his public image. It is forming a trine to his AC, which is making himself feel good about himself. It is forming a trine to his Venus. So that would be this, the energy of that relationship would be good for him, feeling loved, and for his public image basically, and also for his emotional needs. However, it is squaring his Sun. So again, we do have the Sun Moon square everywhere, and that can be hard. We were talking about that, butting heads, having different views, had to develop your own views. That could be a problem going on here. With Jennifer, again, the Moon is in Scorpio, 15 degrees over here. And what we have is an opposition to Saturn. So this means that she is serious about this connection. She does want to ground this connection. We do have that. However, it can be that she is putting some kind of a limitation on that. I don't know what that may be. May it be like, I don't know, anything. Something that just popped into my mind. I know that he had problem drinking. She was like, okay, you have to have the rule. I always stay with you if ... It could be something like that, you know, that she is forming some kind of restriction on this relationship, or she has some kind of rules. I can't think of the words I want to express. Anyway, I think you got it. Also, she's feeling a sense of security in this connection, and she wants to give the sense of security. Then we do have, which also indicates, yes, you do have a soul connection, and it can help her grow into her life purpose. Let's talk about Venus. We do have, sorry, I just closed this one. We do have Venus at 28 degree Gemini. Is right, I wrote down, yeah, it is over here. So when we check out Ben's chart, it would be 28 degree Venus would be like, sorry, Gemini would be like over here, and it is forming a, wait, where's the Saturn? A root, yeah, okay, yeah, it's, I kind of like confused the same with opposition, the sign opposition and conjunction. It's a conjunction, and I was looking over here for the opposition. I wrote down the conjunction sign. Yeah, it is forming a weak conjunction to a Saturn, which again means he is serious about this connection. He does want to ground it, and we do have the opposition with Jupiter, which kind of like mean maybe he is depending his happiness or his growth on it, that he is making, putting a lot of pressure on it. That could be but also action. However, it could be a bit of a codependency when it comes to his happiness. It is also a square, forming a square to his Pluto, which can kind of like make transforming a bit different. We did have the Venus-Pluto square, I think, a couple of times, or at least once when it comes to them. So it's something that they need to overcome. To, yes, I am allowed to change, and actually this connection is forcing me to change or to address unhealed stuff from my past, and that needs to change. And it's a bit of a challenge because it is karmic. Again, karma is only something that is unhealed. And when we look at Jennifer and the connection to Venus, again, Venus would be 28 degree here. It is forming a weak conjunction to her own Venus, which means this connection is feeling loved, and it is forming a square to her generational plans. But again, we don't want to dig too deep. This has been a long video already anyway. Let's check out Saturn. Saturn connections are important because we want to ground this connection, as we said earlier. So we do have Saturn at 28 degree Taurus over here. That would translate to it being over here, and it's forming a square to his Neptune. Sorry, is it a square? No, it's an opposition. It's forming an opposition to his it's a square to his Pluto. Is it forming? Yeah, but again, we don't want to. It can be like a warning not to put the other person on a pedestal. That is something that can happen here. And again, it is forcing him to grow, to develop, and he may not like it too much. It's again like karma that needs to be overcome, and he is kind of like fighting it. No, sorry, it's not a square, it's a trine. Sorry, I take it back. It is helping him. This connection would actually help him to transform, to overcome it. It's a trine. That's a positive thing. It is also trining his north nodes. 28. What did I write down? 28 degree. No, sorry, I messed up here. It is squaring, however, his Mars. No, it is squaring. Sorry, I was a bit sorry. I got it wrong. It's not Gemini. I was like, my notes don't make any sense. What the hell? It's Taurus. It's Taurus, and then we do have a trine going on here, and then we do have this trine going on. Yeah, that makes sense. It's 28 degree Taurus, and we do have the North Node. So again, this connection is helping him release some karma in order for him to grow. And we saw earlier this connection is fated. It is also trining his Pluto, which means it is helping him growing, and it is, however, squaring his Mars, which means he has to put in the effort, and maybe he doesn't want to put in the effort. That could be a thing. And it's also squaring, so again, we're talking about Saturn. The composite Saturn is squaring his Sun. So it's like he has the chance to transform. If he doesn't do it, then he may be stuck in a relationship that doesn't ultimately make him happy. However, he has every chance to be happy in this connection if he does transform. And for her, again, we're talking about Saturn in Taurus. That would be here. It does form an opposition to her moon. We already talked about Saturn moon oppositions are nothing bad. You have to make it work. You have to be serious about this connection. You have to make sure you don't limit the other person too much. You don't put any restrictions on it. That could be an issue. Also, same with Neptune, finding the balance between what is rational, what is spiritual, not putting another person on a pedestal. That could be an issue here as well. It is also opposing her Mars, which means she also needs to put in work. She needs to be active to put in work. That can be something that with an opposition that will be a constant, always working on it. It is trining all of her stuff in Virgo. This is more like generational stuff, so we want to skip this right now. It's been a long video. Then we want to, of course, watch out for Pluto. Pluto is important for transformation. It's 26-degree Virgo over here. Let's go to Ben, forming a weak connection to his IC. Again, it is making him force, maybe dealing with some mother issues or childhood issues in the 4th house. It is, of course, then opposing his MC, transforming his public image. It could be. It is forming a trine to his North Node, which is again very good. It's making him transform into his destiny. However, it would be squaring his Jupiter and his Saturn over there. So there might be some resisting to actually do the work. It can be overcome. As I always say, it can be overcome. You just have to do the work. Let's talk to her. Sorry, I feel like my voice is fading. Again, we're talking about Pluto in Virgo. So it's conjuncting her personal stuff. Again, we don't want to go too much into this. It is also in opposition to her North Node, meaning that she has to learn stuff here in order to fulfill her destiny. She has to get over something, do the shadow work, and then it can help her fulfill her destiny. And also, since it's in opposition, again, oppositions are constant change, constant growth. It's something that is not easily just done with. It is also forming, well, if it's over here, square, yeah, it's forming a square. Is it a square? How many degree was it? 26. So it's over here. Yeah, that would be 18 degree. Yeah, it's forming a weak square to her Venus. Yeah, we had the Pluto-Venus square a couple of times with them, right? Again, indication karmic, they met each other to help this relationship. It can help her overcome her stuff, but it's not easy. I keep repeating myself because the same stuff comes up. We had the the Sun-Moon square and the Pluto-Venus square coming up as a challenge. So that is something that needs to, it's a lesson. It's a lesson that they can transform into. Then what are the South Node connections? I found it here. We do have the Composite North Node over here and the North Node in Aquarius. Like his 24 degree, there's nothing going on, but 24 degree here. Here we've got again, this indicates this connection is triggering some past life, if you want to hold on to the concept of past life, but it is triggering some oppressed stuff that needs to help him to become his self, or bringing the connection to doing the work. Maybe like I said earlier, Aquarius doing the humanitarian work, to bring this connection forward. There needs to be some own stuff resolved to bring this connection forward. And here we do have the same. There's nothing in her Aquarius. No, she doesn't have anything going on here. This was basically him. I decided to film a little add-on to the video you're watching. You see the date has jumped, but it is important for me to clarify something. In my video about different type of divine counterparts, we were talking about mirror souls, and a mirror soul can be someone who is mirroring a part of you back, or it not can be, it is that. But since we change in our life, that can be to a different extent. For example, in this video, it's a different type of divine counterparts. You will find that video in my channel. I tried to explain that our soul this is the part that is incarnated. This little blue dot here would be you. This would be your higher self. But you are connected to monad, to higher, even higher stream of consciousness. So that all of that would still be you, going all the way to source. And I try to clarify this with different colors. You see here, this would be the more physical realm, your higher self, the higher part, the higher dimensions going to source, and probably it would be even more than that. And this part of you down here, the incarnated part, is one part that is very changing. And when we talk about astrology, maybe sometimes you tap more. Let's see, this is Ben Affleck, his sun is in Leo. Maybe sometimes during a specific part in his life, he would tap more into this energy. During a specific part in his life, he would tap more into the rising sign over here, which is Cancer. Or maybe even in a different part in his life, he would tap into a whole different energy, especially if you have, for example, something like squares in your birth chart and you heal your squares, then you do change your energy as well. And if that happens, we would attract either your mirror soul, if you already are with them, they would grow with you, they would change with you, they would mirror back your change. Because when you change, you also change your limiting beliefs and or your belief systems, and that is also always what we get mirrored back. But again, during our life, we tap into different energies. Maybe you have heard, I don't know if I agree with that 100% or at all, that the older you get, the more you turn into your rising sign. That doesn't really resonate with me. I feel more like the older you get, the more you tap into your moon sign, which is your core, which is what you already are. Or even you tap in more into your sun sign, because the rising sign would be something, it's connected to the first house, it's more connected to childhood basically, and it's the way people perceive you. So in my opinion, would be the other way around. When you're younger, you show more your rising sign, and you still always, that will be your wall, how people perceive you that first meet you. But your sun sign is where you put your focus, where you put your light on, who you become. And your moon sign is your core, your essence. So during our life, of course, we do learn, we do highlight different aspects, not just in different areas. For example, your Mars will show you where you put your intention in and your energy. It shows you about your sense of fighting, or also about sexuality, of course. But again, especially if we do have, for example, connection. He has a connection, well, this is not a personal planet, but yeah, he has a connection between, no. But let's just say you would have a connection, for example, between the Sun and Venus. So Sun and Venus already are connected, which means he can choose, since this connection already exists and his Sun influences his Venus and his Venus influences his Sun, which aspect he portrays more, which energy he's tapped in more. And the mirror soul would show that back to you. And again, since we change, if you are in a distorted, unhealed energy, you can only attract somebody distorted as well. Once you heal your inner issues and your belief systems about yourself, about relationship itself, about the other person, because our beliefs about the other person always get mirrored back. For example, one belief would be, yeah, they always withdraw. Then that belief will be mirrored back, and they will always withdraw until you change your limiting belief about them always withdrawing, or whatever the belief is. But anyway, where I wanted to go is this part of ourself, sorry, that's the wrong button, is changing. And our mirror souls, or not, I don't want to say mirror souls, but every mirror is showing you that. And a mirror soul can have different intensity, I want to say. For example, some show this part, and that can be, again, they will either change with you, or once you tap into another energy. And we're not talking about like a daily fluctuation, we're more talking about like life cycles, you know, and not like, oh, today I'm in this mood and today in that mood. Of course that gets mirrored back to you as well, your core beliefs, but we're more talking about bigger changes in life, you know, some epiphanies you've had and more deep rooted changes. So if you would change this part of yourself, then either this person would change with you, or this connection would just end, you know. It doesn't have to end in a fight. Usually those are the connections when you outgrow someone, that you just split up in peace, that you just realize, and that could be in friendships as well. Yeah, we're completely different now. There's no match anymore. We just don't vibe anymore. And then you just take a different path. You know, that is something that can easily happen in relationships and friendships. But again, this is the part that is changing rather, it's more fluid. This part, however, the higher self part, the higher part of you, it's more fixed. And the higher it gets, the more fixed it is. So when we talk about, for example, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez, and we see they have a lot in common. They have the same sun sign. No, that's the wrong one. Here. They have the same sun sign in Leo. They have the same moon sign in Scorpio. And they almost have the same rising sign. You see it down here. Because Ben, he's a Cancer rising. And Jennifer, she is a Leo, but in 1 degree. And as I said earlier, this means she must have both energies within her. So there is a lot of mirroring going on, especially with the most important part. We also have, they have similar Mercury, so they think alike. Which means with them, they're not just connected here. This goes deeper because they have very similar energies. So a mirror, the more you have in common, especially when it comes to personal planets, the more they mirror your core belief. And I do have another video already recorded where I talk about my personal experience with a mirror twin. Not mirror twin, mirror soul, I would like to say. And that man that I met when I was like 17, 18, was only 1 day older than me. And I don't have the chart open anymore right now. I don't want to give the data in. But if you look at that video, you see we have pretty much everything in common. I don't know his birth time, so we probably have different rising signs, most likely. And I think he may have the same moon sign, but he may be the moon sign before me, which in my case, I'm a moon in Aquarius. He might be, depending on what time he was born, a moon in Capricorn, but I believe, knowing him, that he was an aqua moon just like me. However, there was so much in common, which means this core here, this part, there is a lot of similarity here in the higher realms. However, him and I, this part changed completely. So the lower part, you know, this is more where like free will is at play. Here, this is basically what your soul chose before you came here. You know, like your soul chose your birth chart, your soul chose your moon sign, your rising sign, your sun sign, and all of that. That is something your soul chose. Your soul chose your name. Names also have frequencies. Your soul chose your birth dates, you know, like numerology. Everything was predetermined. However, we do have a range to play with that when we are down here, and this is more the lower energies. So and since this is what we realize more about ourselves, those parts, many people never tap really into that. If you meditate, you would learn about yourself on higher dimensions as well, like the frequency of your soul, you could say. But if this down here is not a match, if for example I chose the spiritual life and I'm not longer in contact with him, but I don't think he did, you know. One major difference we had is I do have a moon Pluto trine, which he cannot have possibly because he was born the day before me, and I was born pretty late, close to midnight on my birth date. So he most definitely cannot have that same trine. However, this trine, the moon Pluto trine, is for me personally a very, very strong factor in my character. And Pluto, you know, is connected to alchemy, since it is connected to Phoenix energy. It is connected to what is the word I can think of? Not spirituality, yeah, spirituality, but I was thinking of a different word. The occult, the mystics, the deep, penetrating deep when it comes to knowledge. So he doesn't have that aspect that is very strong in my part. So probably there is even differences in here. Probably there's more differences like really up here. There's a lot of sameness, and then here we were a lot alike, but we took different paths. So when it comes to earthly life, we are no longer a match at all, because again, this is your more conscious part. This is how you see yourself. This is how you experience yourself. So again, when it comes to mirror souls, it can have different layers. That is why in my video it was hard for me to really explain, yeah, you will find these different aspects in astrology, because again, it could be that it's more like down here, it is more your current energy. For example, you are very tapped in your Venus sign, you've learned to tap into that, and then you would attract somebody who has a strong energy that represents your Venus sign, for example, or your sun sign or your moon sign, or whatever energy you are tapped in. And again, that can be completely different, because for you it might be the Venus sign. Maybe you have a strong 2nd or 7th house, a strong Venus house, and that plays out very strong. And the other person just has that frequency, but it doesn't have to mean that they have the same Venus sign. However, if they do have the same signs, like we do have with them, so much similarity, then again they would be connected on the higher realms as well, meaning there is more likeness when it comes to their core. However, you must never forget, astrology is just one factor. Monadic twin flames will have indicators when it comes to numerology. They will have repeating numbers. There will be a lot not just when it comes to Western astrology. There will be a lot of more significators. Astrology is one. But again, yeah, this was very important for me, because I know the mirror souls are a bit more difficult to grasp, because you cannot see one thing. It is obvious in cases like this, this is quite obvious. This just means that they are connected in higher realms as well, because they chose similar energy, they chose the same sun, moon, similar rising sign, same Mercury sign. They chose a lot of sameness to meet. When they were together the first time, maybe this part down here didn't match at all, and this is why they couldn't make it work. But if they learn to vibrate more on a similar level, and they have the ability to do that due to the sameness, then more of those parts would be connected, and then it would be a good match. However, as I said, mirror twins, sometimes they don't really have the ability to learn a lot because of that sameness. You often need another factor, something you trigger in one another to ascend. Those are usually not the types to ascend together much. Those are more the types who enjoy somebody who vibrates similar, and not as similar, pretty much the same. And they can have a very harmonious life. However, you also have to look at synastry, because again, Pluto connections can indicate, yeah, there is change, there is mirroring. So that's why I always combine everything. I combine their individual energies, I combine the synastry and the composites, and then apply the composite to each person, as I have done in this video. But again, yeah, mirror souls, it's hard to say. When you have something like this going on, again, then it's obvious. In my case, that guy, again, pretty much everything was the same, so that is pretty obvious. And other cases might not be as obvious when it is more this lower energy. By lower, I don't mean ego part, I just mean the more dense, the more energy that you are experiencing in your life, not your higher dimension energy. I hope this cleared it up. I hope I didn't create more confusion. sometimes I feel like I should take some notes. I just click on record and start talking about what I want to talk. But again, we can say here, they can vibrate on similar energies here, and the more you have the same, the more you are connected in higher realms. But however, if you're not awakened yet or tapped into your energy yet, or you still haven't healed yet, this part, you know, might still be a bit different due to what energy you chose to tap in. If this helped, please leave your comments below, and yeah, let's go back to the main video or to the outro. I don't know yet. Anyway, bye bye.